FURIA really took it to him, though. I think the big hitter being like MW, I think, was just hitting.
Bro, I'm about to 2020 me is about to come out. My actual goat MW is back.
Yeah.
He was on Haven. He was diffing Aspas with the op. There was a round where he just.
Já pensou em ter acesso a diversos cursos feitos por pessoas que manjam do jogo? A Neverest tem cursos produzidos por grandes personalidades do cenário especialmente para você, além de aulas específicas para cada agente, para você aprender tudo sobre o seu main em todos os mapas, tanto no ataque quanto na defesa. E ainda tem uma ferramenta que mostra pixels do seu agente favorito em todos os mapas, de maneira bastante simplificada. E você também tem direito a uma análise de POV mensal feita por um coach profissional para ver se você aprendeu tudo certinho. Tudo isso e muito mais você encontra na Neverest. Usando o cupom SMOKEMID15 você tem 15% de desconto, o link vai estar aqui na descrição. Fala galera, tudo bem com vocês? Nesse domingo tivemos a grande final do Superdome Colômbia, entre FURIA e LEVIATAN, onde tivemos um embate entre MWZera e Aspas, e a LEVIATAN saiu vencedora. E durante o último Plat Chat eles falaram bastante sobre esse campeonato, e bastante sobre FURIA e LEVIATAN, e separamos esses trechos aqui pra gente conferir. Então já deixa aquele like nesse vídeo, confere se tá inscrito aqui no canal e vamos lá ver o que eles falaram.
Press is with LEVIATAN, winners of the Superdome.
Yeah.
I have thoughts. I have opinions, and I want to hear all of yours, okay? But I also want to. Okay, there's a lot of things I want to talk about LEVIATAN here.
Okay.
I have a lot of things I want to get to, honestly. But let's start with their performance. They take down the tournament. They don't drop a map. Thoughts on the team's level right now?
Dude, I think that they look pretty good, actually. Pretty fleshed out on a lot of maps when I was watching. I think their Haven is fantastic with the amount of time they put into that. They're always, like with Tex moving over to a Sentinel role, there's always going to be, you're like thinking, okay, well, always chance for stuff like that to go wrong. But they are on top of it. They were constantly maneuvering their setups, like around Aspas opping and Tex's setups with his, like, he had a turret in short, he had like the usual setups towards like mid, and it was pretty good. FURIA really took it to him, though. I think the big hitter being like MW, I think, was just hitting.
Bro, I'm about to 2020 me is about to come out. My actual goat MW is back.
Yeah,
he was on Haven. He was diffing Aspas with the op. There was a round where he just a Sheriff v op tapped him, and then the next round beat him in an op duel. My goat. He didn't even used to, like, his op was never as strong as his rifle either when he was playing duels before. Now his op was looking sick. But sorry, listen, I needed to pop up. My goat is back.
Yeah, his attack side op was really good. I think for as good as Lev looked, they really did get pressured pretty hard, because the mechanical talent from FURIA is not in doubt, honestly. I was mad impressed with their new smokes player. What is it, Liazi? I think
Liazi, yeah.
Liazi, yeah, dude.
I know why all these teams were trying to get HAVOC in the off season.
Yeah,
god damn,
dude, they have got talent for days.
His crazy good.
The only thing that was really missing was the just the overall. Like, I just didn't. I don't think they had the experience or prep time on a lot of these maps compared to Lev. I could just see that, but.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of it was just like individual kind of like cheesy stuff in terms of like bigger macro stuff, but they did it well. It's like what you're saying with MWZera. A lot of the time it was like HAVOC setting him up, and because HAVOC used to play duelist, right? I wonder if he has like a good understanding of like flashing off angles and like how to actually get the most out of the duelist as well. So I was impressed with HAVOC on the Sky. I thought his flashes were like top tier when I was watching them. So I'm kind of excited if they decide to continue with these roles of MWZera. In terms of FURIA, I thought they would look good. In terms of Lev, I don't know how they're this drilled with this much time, to be honest. They look very drilled. They actually look pretty set in terms of the team. I felt like King's calling and King's mid-rounding is crazy. Like, even if we're not talking about frags, like how he's just controlling it. Like, I'm a mini-map watcher. I'm watching the mini-map thinking, oh, this guy is a god at the moment. Like, everything's just incredible. Like, everything's so good. And I'm like, damn, this team is... It looks scary. It looks scary for next year.
Yeah. It looks so damn good. But yeah, mad impressed with FURIA as well because of the stuff that we've already talked about. But one of the things that Lev and FURIA were doing against them pretty well was actually just punishing the overextension that Cloud9 likes to do. Like the previous episode, I was talking about Cloud9, their kind of like overall style is they like to take a lot of map control, like taking the front of a site, and then they very quickly try and take like another area, like either like elbow or pushing out something else, to try and catch teams when they're setting up for the retake. And it works really well if you're not ready for it, but Lev and FURIA were ready for it in the matches that I watched when I was just watching the upper final and lower final. They were always just quite patient with it, and they've got the mechanical skill to just punch back as well. They're not going to get strong armed out of those positions, and it was kind of ruining Cloud9 a little bit, because then when it doesn't work in that way, when the team's ready for it and expecting it, you're fighting in a really bad position. You're just never going to be favored fighting in those spots when they're just absorbing all that aggression. And so there was a few instances of that, but overall I'm kind of just big grain of salt, I think, added to Cloud9's overall performance in the tournament.
So further on Lev, though, I do want to talk about Ospas and Tex. Like, Sliggy, how are you feeling about their debut in this roster, the synergy, excuse me, with the team, but also how they were doing individually?
I felt like individually they were very good. It felt like Tex was responsible for a lot of big rounds to win, but he was responsible for a lot of like little mistakes that cost him rounds as well. So I feel like in terms of like the learning curve for him, probably the highest. But I think that's expected as well. And Aspas, yeah, I mean, Aspas just looks good. He looks happy. He looks comfortable. It looks like he has a lot of freedom. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. I feel like the whole setup of just giving him pure freedom, which I imagine is what he wants. Looks like it's there. And even though sometimes, like you're saying, MW0 is getting the better of him, I feel like the team actually did well of just actually bringing back these rounds. And in terms of like the mistakes that Tex was making, it's just small micro things that maybe is like positioning thing of just like being a newer Sentinel and stuff like that. When double duelists came in some of the maps, that's when it started to like really look good. So maybe if they get a bit of a like I said, maybe there's a patch that changes some of the meta, I think like they're going to be one of the teams that maybe thrives as well. So yeah, I was impressed. Just overall, just impressed with the whole team. Yeah, it's very, very scary.
Like when I was watching the Lotus and Split game in the finals, you could tell that their setups weren't quite, there as much to the same degree, but it was still like Split felt like to me like a big individual moments from a lot of players, like King and Aspas was carrying them like a lot of the time. And Lotus, genuinely, like FURIA could have won Lotus. Like that series, like I think FURIA could have won Haven in a different circumstance, and they also could have won Lotus. They just kind of, again, crumbled on their defense. I think that's where it's lacking a lot of the times, which is where FURIA just need to get the prep together and really figure out their defensive setup so they don't leave as many gaps in their play, and they have better ideas, because it was night and day when you were comparing the two teams regarding that. But in terms of the talent, in terms of them being able to like fight back, they were on point with it. FURIA really had a chance to win here, but yeah, or at least on this map. They could have made it much closer. But I think this is quite promising. I mean, like last episode or 2 episodes ago, I can't remember. We were very doomer, or at least Josh was.
Josh was
doomer.
Said America's might be the worst region.
Yeah,
or
over
America's.
America's.
They were the worst region.
I'm tired of that guy.
I just don't think that's going to be the case. I mean, you see, I'm watching this tournament, and I think there's so much hope, honestly, as well, just from and especially these teams, like the Latin teams, Brazilian teams. I think you can still expect big things. I don't think America is that weak at all.
No, yeah, I may have listen, it might be the MW pill, but I'm so excited to watch more of this FURIA team and see how they progress. I mean, it's just him and just what you had said, Sliggy, just about HAVOC previously being a duelist. You could just see that in the thing. You could just see the duelist within him in the gameplay. He's like a Sky that is unafraid to create his own opportunities when he sees fit, and was getting away with so many crucial kills to like open up a site. Sometimes it was getting ahead of MW, cracking open the site, finding an entry off a flash, or just capitalizing off some player that was running away, catching them out. Like was just mad impressed. So this has instilled some hope for me in America.
Mas é isso, pessoal, o vídeo vai ficando por aqui. Deixa sua opinião sobre tudo isso aí nos comentários. Deixa também aquele like e se inscreve aqui no canal para não perder nada. Aquele abraço e até o próximo vídeo.